Hello, Alan Creek.
Hello, Alan Creek. Welcome.
Viewers, welcome to the internet.
The Creek this week. And Dan's new glasses.
Yeah.
He can't see you. He just trusts that you're out there somewhere.
I just see Mayhos and a big black blob in front of him that has wires on it.
Yeah, that's the camera. Dan.
This is so much
the
better.
camera.
Oh, it's the camera.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Bob. Oh, it's Rick.
It's me.
So we are stepping into week 2 of our Prophet-in-Law series, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we talked about how when the calling on your life is hard,
Yeah.
and at some point that's true for everybody.
Yeah, right. Not just a prophet, but we all have a call.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this week it's a little touchy, right?
Yeah.
Because you've titled it "Cheating on God."
Yeah.
So why don't you just talk about why you chose to title it that way?
Well, I chose that, Dan, because it's actually the toned down, more PG version of what the Bible writers chose to use, which is basically spiritual adultery.
It's a little saucy.
Oh gosh, can I say this? Well, it's in my translation. It's in the Bible. Whoring after other idols is the phrase often used by the prophets.
Right.
So it takes the metaphor of sexual infidelity in marriage and applies it to our relationship with God.
And Jeremiah is not the only prophet who
No,
does that.
no.
Hosea, maybe more notably, his entire life was like an object lesson to try to illustrate. This is really big for God, isn't it?
Yes.
Right?
And just if we can understand the horror of sexual infidelity, then we begin to just scratch the surface of what's going on in spiritual adultery, which is really summarized in idolatry. So adultery and idolatry, two different things, but the same in one sense.
Metaphorical.
Yeah.
The same. All right, so let's talk about two things then. Number one, what can serve as a mistress?
Yeah. Well,
what can be an idol?
Yeah, so our spiritual mistresses are basically any replacement God. So anything that we run to for comfort, identity, or final meaning that is not God, and then that becomes an idol. And then our attachment to that idol is a form of spiritual adultery. It's a form of cheating on God, because God is the only one who wants that role in our life. And just like that, just like your spouse is the only one who wants that role of intimate partner.
Well, and even more so than wanting it, in the case of God, the only one deserving it.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. The only one who deserves it, and the only one who is designed to fill that role. And that's one of the reasons why God is so exercised about it, is not because he's just a jilted lover, though he is described as a jilted lover.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is killing you, my children.
Yeah.
Spiritual adultery kills you. And in some sense, that kills me.
Right.
When he sees his children languishing under false spouses, false lovers.
Okay.
And they could be anything, Dan, like you might think, well, those are only bad things, like drug and alcohol abuse.
Gambling and cheating and lying.
Or actual sexual infidelity in our own lives. Those could be absolutely forms of cheating on God and idols that are substitute gods in our life. But family can be an idol.
Right.
Your job can be an idol. Your children can be an idol. Church could be an idol.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so many things can be these replacement gods. You cheated on me with X, Y, or Z.
And this really plays into, if you're familiar with the term, we talk about it a lot around here, of spiritual deconstruction that people are going through. A lot of folks are looking at, it's like, wait a minute, what do I really believe? And what's my place in the church?
Yeah.
And so this idea of the church becoming an idol, we've been talking a lot about how church leaders sometimes get themselves into trouble because it becomes idolatry, right? It's you got to make your church bigger. Its success becomes an idol. And this is something that's initially looked at as, we want to applaud it. Because there's a lot of people coming to Jesus, and we're feeding hungry people, and it's all this other stuff. But if that's serving as our point of focus, if that's why we get up in the morning, if that's where we get our satisfaction, our fulfillment, our comfort, then that's replacing God. Right.
Yep, absolutely. And there's this point in Jeremiah chapter 7, where he confronts the people's love and comfort and meaning that they took in the fact that the temple still lived in Jerusalem. And he actually interesting thing that's hard to translate because it comes from the Hebrew, where he repeats the phrase 3 times as if mocking or imitating the people, where they say, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord. And you go, what's he saying? Well, that's a mantra.
Yeah.
It was like a mantra being shouted on the streets, where Babylon was kind of breathing down their necks, and Jeremiah was saying things like, we got to turn, we've absolutely got to repent of our ways. And they're saying, you know what, we're fine because we got the temple. They were so in love with the idea that there was this grand physical manifestation of God's blessing and presence in their midst that they felt they were safe. And so, Dan, that's like you're talking about, like it's just an idol. They had built this icon to their religion, their Yahwehistic cult that had actually replaced Yahweh at the center of their hearts.
Right. And that's something we see all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I think Jeremiah it's so timely.
Yeah, it is.
We're all dealing with this, whether you would count yourself as someone who's in some kind of a deconstruction process, or, you're somebody who's, trying to construct stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, well, what are we trying to build? And we've always got to be aware that there's this danger.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to come up. What's the old hymn? I'm prone to wander.
Yeah, prone to wander, Lord, I feel it.
Yeah. And
prone to leave the God I love.
Prone to leave the God I love. And so we see this all the way back to Jeremiah. We see it back to Genesis 3. Mm-hmm. It's the beginning of the story. It's where the tension of the story of the universe comes in. Mm-hmm. You've got the good guys, God and his creation, and then sin comes in. And what is that? It's the temptation to replace God. Yeah. And we're still dealing with it these days. So this is relevant for all of us, really, no matter where we are, whether you consider yourself a part of the church, whether you're just checking out church. This is going to be a great series. So provocative, I think, cheating on God.
Yeah, it's going to find out that God has feelings too.
God has feelings too. Much like this beverage does not have flavor. Inverse.
Yes, that bland water. But at least you can read the label now, Dan, which says water with a couple of other various chemicals.
As my daughter says, this tastes like your foot falling asleep. Numbers. Cheers.
Like your foot falling asleep.